This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I have a record-breaking guest on here. You know, I've been doing the podcast since 2015. I've only had a couple of guests as of right now that's been on every year, and one of them is on the phone with me right now, and I always look forward to calling her up and having her on because she's always a delight. And Joe Dante will agree with me 100% on this. I have the lovely, the beautiful, the absolutely talented, mesmerizing, Belinda Balaski. How do you do, Belinda?
Hello, how are you?
I always look forward to having you come on the show.
You're so sweet. Is it freezing cold up there?
Nope, not yet. It's getting chilly, but I haven't hauled out the winter clothes or even the winter tires yet. So.
That's a clear sign, but you probably are well down into the 30s or 40s or
We're probably lower than that. Now that would be considered cold where you are.
Listen, 75 is considered cold where I am. Californians have not much of a tolerance for cold or heat. They like that mid range. 79 to 83.
Really? We get into the minuses here in the wintertime.
Yes, and then you add that wind chill factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'll be coming up, well, not there, but I'll be coming up to Saskatoon in November.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually really excited about. I've never been up there.
You know what? I've got to talk to Chris Alexander for in Toronto for Horrorama. I'm going up there for my third time. And,
how fun!
Yeah.
Where is that now?
It's in Toronto.
It's in Toronto?
Yeah. Well.
Yes, I've only been on the west side. Well, in Calgary.
Yeah. Well, Lisa Langlois invited me 2 years ago to be her guest at Horrorama. She was in class of 1984. Actually, she worked with your friend, our friend, Mary Lynn.
Mary Lynn. All right.
Mary Lynn Ross. Her name was just on the tip of my tongue there. Yeah. And we went around all the locations where that film was shot, and including the house where they kidnapped her. There was a for sale sign in front of it.
Oh, was there really? Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So Lisa and I have stayed in touch, and I'm still periodically in touch with Mary Lynn Ross as well, seeing the stuff she's doing on there. She's very active and very cheerful, very uplifting.
Yes, she always has high energy for pretty much everything. She's great,
Yes.
Fun to be around.
Yes. Well, I remember when I had the two of you on here together, you two were in your garden through part of it. How's your garden doing right now?
I actually have not spent that much time this year in my garden. I've had a zillion figs. I've got a million, they're called ruby red, what is it? They're like oranges that are red, they're
Okay.
so sweet and delicious. And I think they're called ruby reds or something like that. Meyer lemons coming on, things like that. My trees are going crazy, but I really did. I planted a bunch of stuff. Most of it didn't come up, and I just have been extremely busy.
You mentioned
so
fig.
I just haven't had that kind of time. I've been painting a lot. I'm very involved in painting, and I bought some property in Hawaii, and I've been quite involved in that. And everything's pulling me to the left.
Really? Now you're moving to Hawaii? I thought you wanted to stay where it was warm.
On Kauai? Yes, on Kauai.
No, in Hawaii.
Yes, Kauai is in Hawaii.
Oh.
Kauai is one of the islands in Hawaii.
Now, why do you want to move there?
Well, I'm not moving.
Oh.
It's just it's a vacation rental, really, and but it allows me to go and spend time there too. But it's a good investment, and it's fun to do, and it keeps you It really, I'm telling you, it's a business. You're really working all the time on it, and everything's breaking, and you have to fix it and address this situation and that situation from a distance. But I have a friend there that helps me, and it's really quite an adventure, and I really love it. I'm really excited to be able to share the most beautiful place on earth with people, and be able to invite friends to go there. Like Lainey's going there in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Dick Miller's wife.
Okay, yeah.
She's going to go and spend a week, and it's really nice to be able to share it with people.
So you're not going to find property up here, like it's real nice up here during the dead of winter.
I remember being on Bowen Island, Bert wanted this very foggy kind of misty gray color for this whole movie of Food of the Gods, right? Mm-hmm. And we get up there, and within 3 days, we'd shot, a lot of exteriors. And now, we get up one morning to do some more exteriors, and it had snowed the night before. And we all arrived on set, and everything's white, and we're like, well, it's an island. It'll burn off by afternoon. It's salt everywhere, right? Well, by afternoon there was more snow, and the next day more snow, and the next day more snow. And it didn't stop for about a week. And the next day, about a week later, I remember arriving at this set, and there's Bert Gordon with a huge torching the snow away because, we'd done all our interiors by then. It was like we were really running out of time being up there, our location. We were only supposed to be there for, I think, 2 weeks, and we ended up being there for almost a month.
Blame it on the giant rats.
It was beautiful. I mean, I totally loved Bowen Island, so I was fine being up there.
Yeah. You mentioned from your garden figs, I don't know. I might sound ignorant for saying this, because I read about in the Bible they talk about figs a lot, and I'm not even sure what a fig is.
Well, you probably don't have them up there.
Probably not, but I know the Bible mentions them a lot. Yeah.
But they're like different kinds. There's like the really black mission figs, and the sort of green, purpley figs that are really juicy. That's what my tree gives the best, most delicious figs. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're just beautifully red inside. You should literally Google images on figs.
I should.
They're beautiful. It's exquisite fruit. Very acidic, I have to sort of rinse my mouth out after eating them because I have a reaction to acidic foods. But, oh my gosh, they're so yummy. I made this fig, strawberry, ginger, lemon rind jam with this last batch that just came off the tree, and it was so good.
Did you send some to Mary Lynn Ross?
No, I am afraid I didn't. I had, people stop by, and so I end up always handing them out. I ended up with one jar, I realized, at the end of the whole thing. I went, wait a minute.
Well,
that's all right.
You mentioned Lanny Miller, I was very, very, very fortunate because we just lost Dick Miller at the end of January, and it kind of reminded me of something, because at the end of August of last year, I had Dick Miller on my show. Yeah, and I always make a list of people I'm going to reach out to during the run of the year, and I didn't have Dick Miller on the list, and I don't know what I was doing, but I got thinking, would he do the show?
Oh, he's such a great guy. He really is. It's like, yesterday we lost one of my personal faves too.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Robert Forster in a minute.
Robert, yeah. I had done a film with Robert, and he's such a dear person. As was Dick. I mean, Dick was just such a dear human being. Yeah. I've known him so long. We did 12 pictures together. So
And only
but the
appear
funny
on.
thing is, Dick and I only had one scene in all of those 12 pictures, which is, by the way, probably a good thing because he's quite the scene stealer.
Yeah.
He's so magnetic. He's just got that charm and that magic face of his.
Mm-hmm.
He's so wonderful, such a wonderful actor. And people always say, Dick Miller, who's that? As soon as they see his face, oh yeah, I've seen him in a million things.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm
That's
gonna
why
tell you.
they did that production called That Guy Dick Miller because people know him, but they don't necessarily know his name.
Well, you know what? I'm so glad now that I took the chance and reached out. I took the chance, sent an email. I heard from Lainey, and everything got arranged. Found out she was in The Graduate, which I didn't know, and yeah, and
I know, it's wonderful. I know.
yeah, she ended up being my second guest from The Graduate because I've had
that's awesome.
yeah, I had William Daniels on as well, but
We should have Lainey on again.
you know what? I think I will. I think
she's great to talk to. She just has, they lived this wonderful life for all those years, something like 59 years or something. Do you know?
Yeah. So I'm so glad I took the chance and reached out because I'd be kicking myself today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I had him on. We talked about Gremlins and all of his other films, and it's funny because his interview is set to go public on my YouTube channel in a couple days, and I've already sent it to Lainey. In fact, I sent it to them before he had passed away. So yeah,
wow.
because I always send them out to people before they go public because
that's good.
Well, the reason I do that is because I put an interview up every 5 days because I like to have a nice backlog so I can constantly put new material up. And so if people waited until it went public, they'd be probably waiting a year or a year and a half. So I let people have them early, and they can post them public if they want to on their page and Facebook or whatever, and that way I can just take my time, release it when I need to.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've got a really good thing going, and you've had an opportunity to talk to some really interesting people.
Yeah. Well, Dick Miller, I'm glad I talked to. I even asked him if he had a bathroom buddy. From Gremlins. That got a chuckle out of he and Lainey both.
He's so cute. I mean, doing a radio or broadcast like this with him would be fun and interesting, but he's so darn cute. You miss 3/4 by not getting his face on there. He's just a darling person,
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether I was the last interview we had, but I would dare say I'm probably one of the last, because I had him on, it was at the end of August of 2018.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yep. So, and he lived to be 90 years old, so he lived a good long
I was
life.
at his 90th birthday party, and boy, was that the best birthday party I've ever been at. It was really fun.
Yeah, I saw your
knows how to
video.
throw a party, let me tell you.
Yeah, I saw the video you took where he was, where they kind of
dancing.
Yeah, and he had that big ponytail.
They danced, they went out every week, once a week, or I think actually more than once a week, and went dancing.
Yeah.
For 59 years.
59 years.
They have a date once a week and go dancing.
That's unheard of in marriages in Hollywood.
And I finally got to see it with my own eyes, And of course, there was Roger and Julie, right next to them. So I was fortunate to be able to get them in a couple of shots too,
Nice, yeah. Well, I'm glad I had him on, and that is coming out soon. And I'm glad that I hope they got to hear it before he had passed, But he was a delight and a lot of fun to talk to. And I had Lainey on with him, and that was great. Yeah, I'll probably reach out and have her on again. Absolutely. So I think it's great she's going to come spend some time with you, and talk about all the
Well,
film.
no, she's taking her granddaughter. I mean, I just uh, gave her a week up there, so I'll be here. I won't go until December.
Oh.
I haven't been there yet. I mean, I've been renting it a lot, which is really great, but I haven't been able to get there. And my daughter and I are going for December, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, I love the relationship between you and your daughter. You two have a great relationship. I might have asked you this before, but I'm not sure if you had an answer, but I'll see if it's been updated here. Does she have a favorite of your films?
Oh, that's a really good question. Because until she became an adult, I never let her see any of them. I mean, I didn't really want her to relate to me as an actor. I wanted her, she had quite a struggle before she was placed in my home,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to have a really sort of steady, good old fashioned home base for her,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just never showed her any of my movies. And then years later, when she was like 18 or something, and she said, Mom, by the way, I want you to know, I did see Gremlins. I mean, before I was, placed in your home, I had seen it.
Oh, wow.
I said, are you kidding? Because she was 5, when when she came here.
Did she ask
Way
what?
too young to see Gremlins, but
Did she ask why Nicky Cat's not her brother? Well, I think
she's
it's wonderful that you two have a great relationship. I've seen pictures of the two of you on Facebook, and you two look very happy together. So I gotta say
Yeah,
congratulations.
we have a really good friendship and relationship. It's just great. I mean, we get along very well, and
Mhm.
and when we don't, we both get in our cars and go opposite directions.
Well, I imagine you're easy to get along with because you worked with a lot of the same people, like Joe Dante, obviously, um, takes very big liking to you. I have got to eventually. I know I've reached out before, but I got to get Joe Dante on here because I'm going to tell you, he made some really unique movies, and you could see a lot of care and a lot of love gone into them. And, it's nice to see that he still reaches out to you to do projects.
Yes, it's really quite. I feel very lucky. What can I say? I mean, seriously, timing is everything, isn't it?
Yeah. You think he's
I
still.
mean that all came about because I'd done Bobby Joe and the Outlaw,
Mhm.
and Tina Hirsch was going to edit it, but she didn't have an editing base, so she had gone to Roger Corman, of course, to say, would it be possible to use one of your editing uh, sets so that I could edit this? And he said, of course. So she ended up sitting next to this guy who was editing his film, and they're like, hi, I'm Tina. Oh, hi, I'm Joe. And they became great friends, and they would say, hey, what do you think of this cut? And, oh, what do you think of that cut? And that's how Joe got to know me,
Okay.
watching her edit and the cuts of Bobby Joe and the Outlaw. So, when when I finally met him, he actually had known me for 2 or 3 years. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a funny business.
Well, I think before we get talking about Gremlins, let's pay a little tribute here to Robert Forster because
Oh,
yeah, I loved him.
such a dear man. I don't know if you know who Paul Chart is, but Paul, I did a film called American Perfect that
Okay.
Robert Forster was the star in
Mm-hmm.
of. And I had this nice little juicy part where we worked together in a restaurant. And he's just a wonderful person, and we always seem to run into each other. We share a lot of the same friends. So we have run into each other for 50 years, here and there and everywhere. And he's just such a dear, a magnificent actor, I mean, just so understated and underrated.
Yeah.
I think now people will begin to recognize, exactly how much he gave to this industry because he's really brilliant. He's so brilliant. And Paul Chart, I think he just did another film with him. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I don't remember the name of
That's
it,
okay. I'll look it
but
up right here.
have you seen it?
No, but is it called
I do a
Nasty?
voiceover in it, and I said, "Look, if Robert Forster's in it, I'll do anything you want."
Yeah, it's a short film called Nasty.
That's right. That's
Yep.
exactly it. That's right. Yeah, well, I had done this other film with him, so he wanted me in it really bad. He said, "Look, we just do this voiceover," because I said, "No, I'm really retired. I really don't, you know." And he said, "Okay, how about just a voiceover? Would you do a voiceover?" So I did this voiceover for him.
Okay.
So I'd like to see that film.
Well, you know what? For me, when I think of Robert Forster, I think of that brilliant, brilliant performance he gave in Jackie Brown. I loved
I
him in
know
that.
everybody remembers that film. I
Yeah.
mean, it really was a cutting edge film at the time, and he was so wonderful in it.
Yeah.
It was really a great movie, actually. And there he was, just finally, able to show his stuff.
And he got an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I really liked him in that, and I guess he lived to be 78 years old. So yeah.
He used to always go to this place called Marco's. It's an Italian restaurant on Santa Monica Boulevard. And it's right down the street from a shop I would go to. Usually once or twice a week I'd be down there. Oh, as I'd walk by the window, always he'd be sitting at this one table. I figured it was, Robert's table. It was kind of reminding me of a Terence Rattigan play called Separate Tables. It's a great old play written 100 years ago. But he always reminded me of that, because if he was reading a script, or he'd have his computer out, or he'd be on the phone, he was always sitting at that table. My daughter and I'd go in and we'd eat there quite a bit because their food's quite wonderful, and so, I'd see him a couple times a week,
Mm-hmm.
He's a fixture in my life. It's
Just out of curiosity, what do you like to order there?
Well, me, I'm a pasta girl.
I love pasta. Yeah. Yeah.
They have these raviolis that they hand make, and they're just beyond. They're so good.
Yeah. I like penne noodles because, they're not messy like spaghetti can splatter, but penne I can stick my fork tongs in the holes and Yep.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I love pasta as well, So yeah, so the good good taste in food. And of course,
Wait,
yeah.
now I have to say this. I remember going up to, I think we were in Banff or something, and from Calgary, there's the far side of Banff or something, and we drove up there and went into this restaurant. It was a whole group of us, It was Richard Brooker and Melanie Kinnaman and all these different people, and the promoters of the show, and it was really a great, wonderful day. And we sat down to eat, and I opened the menu, and it's like a moose meat. It was like every kind of. I'm a vegetarian, okay.
Okay.
It was like almost like alligator. It was every kind of meat you could possibly think of that you would never want to eat, okay. And I was like, "Can I just get some mashed potatoes, please, and maybe some a side of peas?" Vegetarian is not really a way to eat in Canada.
Well, you know what? I love animals. I'm not a vegetarian, I gotta say, but
No, I know it's too
yeah.
cold. You can't be up there. You have to fortify yourself with something.
Well, Tiffany Helm is a vegetarian, and she's
Okay.
up here now. But I admire people who can do it. Now, I'm against hunting animals for sport. I don't hunt myself, but I kind of get the food situation. But I often question, how people get their protein if they're vegetarian. Some people, say nuts.
You have
and
to balance
this,
yourself, and you have to. There's lots of other ways of getting protein. There really are.
Tofu, like I've heard
Well,
stuff like that.
You don't need a lot of tofu, but there's all kinds of different kinds of beans that you can eat, and there's a lot of things that have protein. I eat fish and I eat chicken too, by the way.
Okay.
So, I get my protein in a different way. I'm not like a pure on vegan or vegetarian to that degree, but I just have never liked meat. I mean, even as a child, my dad was a jockey, so he's always like having the 7-minute steak, because he's got to keep his weight down. And I'm, we're at the restaurant, everybody's ordering a 7-minute steak, and I'm ordering a lasagna. So I have to sit there for an hour while my lasagna cooks, My dad used to say, "What family are you from? Are you Italian? What is this?"
Well, it's funny because you mentioned Richard Brooker. We lost him not too long ago as well.
It has been a while now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
and Melanie Kinnaman I had on for a second time this year, Yeah, I think she's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I every Friday I always wish her a happy weekend, throw a little cheer at her way.
No, here she was in Banff. Okay, we were there in Banff, going to hike around and climb little mountains here and there, and she's got like 7-inch heels on, for feet. I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, she's really beautiful. I felt like such a klutz.
Yeah, well, she's getting into stand-up now.
She's a dancer, She just is always on her toes there.
Yeah, I would love to see her dance. I know her from Friday the 13th, Part 5, and I'm like, Melanie, we got to get you dancing. But now she's doing some stand-up comedy, and I'm like, wow, like I had her on again this year just to hear that side of her, so yeah. But
it was really fun. It was fun to be up there with them, They all knew each other quite well, Richard and Eric Braden and Brandon, and Melanie.
Mm-hmm.
They I think they had all gone to Germany and done conventions there together, and of course we're in that film together, and so I was sort of the odd man out, but they included me, and it was really fun. It really was.
Well,
beautiful. It was so beautiful up there. Oh my gosh.
Well, they needed you around just in case there are werewolves.
Yeah, it's a little, it's really beautiful, but it's such heavy duty forestry up there. I wouldn't want to be lost.
No. Well, you know what? It's interesting. I always associate you with the Howling, but this year, Gremlins is celebrating its 35th anniversary, and it's like I remember when that was released in 1984, and of course it had a lot of the crew from Rock and Roll High School, which is celebrating 40 years this year. And Joe Dante, I think, was involved with that, and here he does Gremlins, and of course Spielberg, of course, brought him in to direct this because he loved the Howling. That must be a nice badge of honor.
Seriously, it really upped the ante for Joe, and, it changed a lot of things for him, from this tiny little editing room that he was in. Suddenly, he's on the big lot now,
Yes.
I remember going there to shoot my scenes, and, it was in the middle of July, I think, that we shot it, and of course it's supposed to be Christmas, and we're in the freezing cold snow, right? So they've got the entire back lot covered in styrofoam. And, we're all wearing these heavy jackets and gloves and hats, and it's like we're boiling, sweat's pouring down our faces, because we're so hot. I mean, you've probably never been in the valley in the summer, but it's like, good 100, 120. And it was so intense. And every time you walked, the styrofoam would blow in the air. Movies are magic. They really are.
Yeah.
They people say, well, how was it to work on Gremlins? Was it scary? No, actually, all I can think of is 30 guys on their knees blowing through straws. when I think of Gremlins, because that's how they got them to move,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say 35 years ago, you're in a couple of scenes in this movie. Was there any other scenes you were in that were cut, or just those two?
No, I had the bank scene with what's his name, Albert. And I had done a commercial with him, so we kind of knew each other a little bit. And then I had the scene with Polly, which was like, it was so much fun because she's so brilliant. I mean, she's just brilliant. Did you ever turn this over? I had the night before. I remember calling Joe around 8:30, saying, "Joe," he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, it's 8:30, and he's like, "Okay," and I'm like, "But nobody's delivered a script." He said, "A what?" I said, "A script. I'm supposed to shoot tomorrow, and no one has delivered a script to me." He said, "No one's delivered one to me either." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Just come in and ad-lib. You'll be just fine. You'll see." I'm like, "Oh, my God. Are you kidding?" So I totally panicked. I wrote probably about 100 scenes out and brought this big, thick wad of papers to him the next morning, 5:30 in the morning. He goes, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, I kind of panicked. Would you look these over?" I got to ad-lib with Polly Holiday. Mm-hmm. That's like, trying to do ad-lib with Carol Burnett or something, Yeah. I mean, she's so brilliant, I was really, really intimidated by it. He said, "Look, I love what you did in the first scene. Just take it to Polly and let her add her lines." Yeah. So I go into her trailer. I said, "Hi, I'm Belinda. Joe wanted me to do it." And so, I threw a couple of my lines at her, and she looks at me and she goes, "Well, now you know what to ask Santa for Christmas, don't you?" I said, "Oh, my God." It came right out of her mouth, She is so right on the money. It was really fun to work with her.
I remember the DVD commentary, or the Blu-ray commentary, I guess what I have now, and Joe Dante was saying he remembered Polly Holiday was an absolute joy to work with, and you can tell.
She was so fun.
Yeah, she plays, of course, Mrs. Diggle. I'm going to tell you, if I was to make any changes to that movie, number one, the high school teacher I would not have had died. I would have let him live because he was too darn likable. And number two, I would have kept Mrs. Diggle alive. In fact, I probably would have had Mrs. Diggle have a Scrooge turnover by the end of the film. Because, because I don't know, I always feel bad when she's going out that window there. I might have maybe had her in her chair land in a tree and the cops have to get her down, and she spends the rest of the night heckling the cops, and then she, in the end, she ends up becoming what Scrooge became, because I don't know, I never found myself hating Mrs. Diggle, and probably because Polly Holiday was so good in the movie.
Well, she's good in everything she does, and she's such a wonderful actress, we all loved her from television, so it was kind of hard to hate her,
Played Flo, and of course she appears in All the President's Men with Ned Beatty and Dustin Hoffman as well, in a scene with them.
I think she's had quite a lengthy career.
Yeah.
Myself. I haven't seen her on the convention circle. I, was hoping to run into her because I just think she's so terrific, but I have never seen her out there.
Well, I've tried to get her on the show, but I don't know which avenue to take, because, I'd love to tell her how wonderful she is in this movie, and she truly is great. It'd be great to get her out to the conventions, Gremlins is turning 35. Of course, she's famous for playing Flo, of course, as well, so,
I know.
Yeah. So,
well...
Yeah. And
Hoyt, at that point where maybe you just don't want her anymore,
Well, no, maybe. And of course, she was in Mrs. Doubtfire, too, so there you go. But, and Hoyt Axton's no longer with us, and look what he brought to the film. I'm going to tell you, any other movie would have just made him just a typical dad. I love what Joe Dante did with that character by making him...
yeah, he was great.
Making him into a failed inventor, but yeah, he's so optimistic, he just keeps carrying on. I really liked Hoyt Axton in this movie.
Gosh, I'm going to have to see this movie again.
He invented the bathroom buddy.
I I've only seen it once. I saw it at the screening, and it was so much fun to hear people laughing and screaming and laughing and screaming that I said to myself, how can I ever watch this again? I mean, it'll never be like this.
Yeah. Well,
and then you meet people who say, "Oh, I watch it every Christmas," and I'm like, "Really? Have you ever heard of? I mean, that it kind of blows my mind that people still really love that movie and do watch it every year. It does a lot for it,
I heard a rumor that they're supposed to be doing a third Gremlins movie. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, the rumor's been going on for a long time, but who knows? It could be true. We've been hearing it for about 30, how many years? 35 years or something.
Well, I hope Joe Dante's involved if it's me.
I don't think that's going to happen, but,
Why?
Well, perhaps, when you've done something, you've done it, and you want to do something else now.
Tell Joe Dante to do it again. Bring you back.
Listen, he's the director. He tells me what to do.
Well, you even got to appear in the second one with Hulk Hogan.
Yes, I did. It was really fun. A fun little bit that didn't work very well when it came to video because in the movie theater they actually want the audience to turn around and look up at the projector, and they had Gremlins up there in shadow form, and they had, he liked William Castle, and he liked to use these sort of, put those things on the seat when you sit down or whatever, William Castle used to do all kinds of things to get his audience, and Joe loved all that. So, that was a big part of Gremlins was that moment that the film is supposed to break and the audience supposed to turn around and say, why, what's happening with the projectionist? And they were supposed to see these gremlins up there. Well, that didn't work very well on the video. So I think they pretty much had to cut the scene out.
Well, you had Paul Bartel and Hulk Hogan in that scene. I'm like, okay, how weird is that?
Hey, that was my third film with Paul, that was the third time we had been in a film together, from Piranha to Cannonball to Gremlins,
Yeah, Paul Bartel gone as well, and very distinct, funny guy. What were your memories of him?
Paul is wonderful, I mean, it is so unique. He's like a one of a kind. There's, they threw the mold away,
Mm-hmm.
Because he just is unlike any other human being you could ever meet.
No.
He really is. I don't know how to explain it. He was so passionate about what he did. And, when we were doing Cannonball, we were out there in the desert in the middle of nowhere, right? All these really good actors in this silly little film, you know? And it was Bill McKinney and David Carradine, Bobby Carradine and Veronica Hamill and Sylvester Stallone. I mean, all these people were in this movie, okay? And we're all out in no man's land in the middle of cactus, Mm-hmm. And so what did Paul do? He brought a big screen and he'd run movies every night outside. Of course, they were his movies, but, I mean, it was like going to the drive-in, but you're not in a car, It was very fun. It really was. These are experiences you never forget,
Yeah. Well, also, you had a lot of great young talent that was in Gremlins as well. Zach Galligan. Of course, everybody remembers Phoebe Cates.
Oh, Phoebe's such a doll. She's such a darling girl, really. I mean, honestly, darling girl,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Corey.
Yeah, it was really fun, and Zach is Zach. He still looks exactly the same age he looked when he did the movie. He just has that little boy look,
Well, the commentary track on Gremlins is really funny because he makes fun of himself all through it, especially his hair.
Oh, he's got great hair. Are you kidding?
he makes fun of it, but he seems very together, and so that's funny. And of course, Corey Feldman. It's funny because since I talked to you last, I've become involved with some films, and I didn't even have to leave Fredericton here. I'm a co-producer of a film that Corey Feldman's going to be in. Yeah, it's called
Okay.
13 Fanboy. It's directed by Debbie Sue Voorhees.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And I'm cameoed
I
in a...
remember Corey when he was 6, you know.
Yeah?
I met him when he was 6, and so I've known him for a very long time.
Have you seen him much since?
No.
No?
Just on The Burbs,
Mm-hmm.
and I went on set for that because Joe said, "Come, we're going to blow the house up. Come watch." I said, "Okay."
Why didn't Joe put you in the movie?
Well, that was what's her name? Princess Leia's time.
Yeah, well, she's great in the movie, but you could have. I would have had you play the wife of the Bruce Dern character.
Well, you know, I mean, in hindsight, that would have been great fun because I adore Bruce. we get together and we don't stop trading shots. You know, he's really sarcastic, and I love that.
So was it fun to watch the house blow up?
Yeah, it was. You know, it was fun to go up there. It was night, and, you know, it was up at Universal, and it was, you know, all, you know, had all the luxuries that you have of a big film, and, you know, all that. It was really fun.
That film was also celebrating an anniversary this year. 40 years for The Burbs. Not 40, 30 years. 30 years.
Well, I think that's why they're going to honor it at Saskatoon.
Saskatoon.
I better get better at saying that name. Saskatoon. That's where we're going.
Yeah. But no, Gremlins, Judge Reinhold was in that. You had a great young cast, and you had a lot of great veterans. Key Luke was one of the veterans, of course.
You know, Joe has this, he always wanted to have this little repertoire of actors that he could use over and over in all of his films, you know, just, okay, now you play this part, now you play this part, and you play this, you know, and use the same people. That was kind of the dream he had as a kid. That's, you know, and he kind of accomplished that in many ways, you know. He used many of us and as many of them as he could, you know, which is great.
Well, I really loved Dick Miller's part in Gremlins, you know. That was probably one of the more lengthier parts he had, too.
I guess.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. He was wonderful.
Yeah. But no, he was great in that, playing, of course, Mr. Futterman. And I had fun talking to him about that. Now, I wanted to ask you, how often do you get asked to do conventions?
Well, I haven't really been doing them lately because I've been busy doing other things right now. And I've turned a few down, and then people get a little, I guess, offended. But, you know, right now I'm just a little preoccupied on some things, you know, and I have the luxury of making those choices now. So I'm kind of doing what I kind of want to do right now, which is painting for the most part, and trying to publish my book of photography, you know.
Oh, how is that going? We talked about that before.
I'm still working on it, and I found a huge box the other day, well, not the other day, a couple months ago, of a zillion more slides. So I'm having them digitized this week, and I'll find out if there are more rock and roll shots in there. I think there are. I'm pretty sure I saw some, so... you know, I may have to re-edit, do a lot of re-editing, but we'll see. You know,
we lost a few more.
It's a great time to find them before I publish. That's for sure.
Yeah, we lost a few more musicians lately. We lost.
That's really sad. You know, I mean, I look at my book, and there are so many people in there that are no longer with us. You know, that it becomes like an archive. You know, it's of a time that was. You know.
I'm trying to think. There was one guy that passed away recently, and I forget it. I know Rick Ocasek passed away, and he's a huge Cars fan, and he's gone.
Well, these were mainly concerts that I shot. You know, it was my friend was the sound engineer for Crosby, Stills and Nash, and so it was usually a gig that they were playing, and those were usually cause concerts, and they, Bonnie Raitt and Jackson Browne and James Taylor, and, it was kind of many times the same group of people that gave their time and energy to these causes. And yet, I have 30 years of various different cause concerts. So it's called Rockin' the Causes, and it's just, I don't know, I think about 18 to 20 different concerts that I shot.
Mm-hmm. And you say some of these conventions get offended if you turn them down.
Well, if you're not readily available, I think they do. And actually I had some illness last year, so there were two that I missed, and so, then they worry that you're not going to be well or something. So you never tell somebody you're sick, but it was just bad timing, and I couldn't go. And so, I had to say I couldn't go.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can get you up here to Horrorama. I'm going to try to...
That would be really fun. I've never been to Toronto, and I would love to go. I'd actually like to take my daughter up there.
You know what? I've had a few of my guests have asked me to get them into Horrorama, and I really don't have the say there. I can only suggest.
Oh yeah, no, it would be just great fun to go.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were to ask, I would go.
Yep.
There are a few I would still like to do. And that's one of them I'd like to do. So.
Yeah. And of course, you mentioned the painting. Tell me, how's Joe Dante enjoying his piranha shower curtain?
His girlfriend won't put it up.
Why not?
No, she says. Well, first of all, she uses that shower, I guess, or something. She makes it too dark in here, which it is, it's a darker color, so I can understand that. I mean, I was thinking, gosh, just for parties, it would be funny,
You don't think Joe Dante's in there, soaping up and with the scrub brush and watching piranhas?
Anyway, my breakfast is actually ready, so my daughter's in there looking at me like, Mom, So it's been on here a little bit of time, yeah?
Yeah, what are you having for breakfast?
Oh, we baked a baked potato and some eggs, and she's made some other things, but that's what I'm going to have.
Well, you know what, Belinda, it's always a delight to talk to you, and next year I'll reach out to you again. You're always welcome, and I love looking at your paintings. I do see those on Facebook. You are a treasure with the paintbrush.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope to get an art show one day soon, working on that also. That would be a dream come true. So. Well,
you're a natural. You're great. You're great at it. Well, you know what?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. I'll be up there in that area. Well, not that area, but I'll be up in the Northeast soon enough. So if anybody out there listening to the show is going to be in Saskatchewan, or in come visit. Come say hi.
Absolutely. You have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day, and God bless you, and thank you for your presence.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Greg. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.